Okay, before I get started, in case you can hear in the background, I have a cricket. I use my garage as my paint shop. So every once in a while, I get a little friendly creature in here, and you probably could hear him. And I don't want to push him out right now because it's raining, and it's been raining all day, and so I feel bad about putting him outside. So if you could just put up my little cricket friend just for a little while, I would appreciate it. Okay, the first thing you should do whenever you get a brand new canvas out, you're gonna start your new project, the first thing you should do is you should test, and I know it's hard to see with this painted canvas, but you should test your canvas to see how stiff it is, to see if it's tight. If you've got a canvas that isn't tight, that's real loose, then the first thing you need to do is tighten that canvas up. And I'm gonna show you how to do that. It's real simple. Get you a spray bottle with water. And all you do is you spray the back of that canvas and make sure you spray some water up under the wood. Just all the way around. Don't soak it. Don't soak it. Just get it good and firmly wet. Once that dries, it will tighten your canvas up. Okay, my steps are really simple. If I can do it, believe me, you can do it too. I usually will use Amsterdam Paint. And Amsterdam is a highly pigmented paint. So when I use the highly pigmented paints, I will mix 2 to 1. I'm gonna mix it, when I mix it, I will mix 2 to 1. 2 parts Floetrol to 1 part paint. So if I'm gonna put 2 ounces of paint in here, then I wanna add 4 ounces of Floetrol. So my paint will go up to 2 ounce mark on my bottle. Then when I add the 4 ounces of Floetrol, that'll take it all the way up to the 6 ounce mark. Okay? And then I'll add 1 ounce of water. Just 1 ounce, that's all. And these are a little over 8 ounce bottles. So by the time I add my 2 ounces, then my 4 ounces of Floetrol, then my 1 ounce of water, that leaves me just a little over an ounce to mix, because if you fill your bottle all the way up to the top with paint and Floetrol, then there's no room left to mix. So you've got to have room to shake your paint and mix it up. So I usually fill it up to about 7 ounces, and that leaves just enough room in the bottle to mix it up real good. Now, if I'm using a lesser pigmented paint, and sometimes I do use folk art because they do have some beautiful colors, and it's still a very nice paint, then I will mix my Floetrol to my paint 1 to 1. Like if I put in 2 ounces of the folk art paint, then I'll just put in 2 ounces of the Floetrol, because like I said, the folk art is not quite as highly pigmented. Well, it's not near as highly pigmented as the Amsterdam paint. And as far as the Amsterdam and any highly pigmented paint, you don't have to use Floetrol. You don't have to use any medium as far as that goes. You can just use water. If you like, you could very well mix it with water, but when you use water, you usually end up using more paint. So the Floetrol does make the paint go further. See that? Now, isn't that simple? That is pretty doggone simple. Now I use a little measuring cup I have that I'll put down into the bottle, and it makes it a lot easier when I pour the Floetrol in. And another step that I'm about to forget, when you first get a new batch of Floetrol, it is so important that you strain that Floetrol. Just get you a little strainer, just a little round strainer, and get you a little cup or something to strain that Floetrol down in there, because Floetrol will have big old lumps and gumps in it. So it's really important that you strain your Floetrol before you use it to avoid all those nasty accidents with the lumps. Now see, that was pretty simple, wasn't it? Pretty simple. Okay, now as far as covering a canvas, I have, see if I can get it all in here. There we go. I have an old painting here that had some boo-boos on it. So I thought, well, I could just use this to show you how to cover a canvas. Now, as far as the back of a canvas, I do tape off the back because I like for my back to be clean. But when little boo-boos like this do happen, that doesn't mean your painting is ruined and you just have to throw it away. That's not what that means. You can paint this white part. You can paint it. Just choose the color of a painting, whatever you're using, and you can very easily paint that white strip. Just make sure you tape off the wood part of your canvas, and this can be painted if you have to. Now, I have been known to do that. I don't do it often, but if something happens and paint does get up under your tape, and it's a beautiful painting, and all that's wrong with it is a little paint slipped up under here, that doesn't mean your painting is ruined. It does not. Just add a little paint around here, or you could just tape off wherever the paint has sipped through to that point. Just tape up to that point and just paint that little bit right there. That doesn't mean you have to throw the whole painting away. Okay? Okay. Now, what I do is take a little paint. I just take some painter's tape. I buy this cheap paint from the dollar store, cheap painter's tape from the dollar store. And you just try to get as close to that edge as you can. Just like that. Just get right up to that edge. And, okay, just get as close as you can to that edge right there. Now, if you do this right here, flap the tape right here, and it's flapping, let me show you. Let me get closer. Let me show you. Okay, you do this. See that? That's no good. Okay? Because whenever you go to tighten that tape down, what's going to happen is that tape is going to fold over that edge. It's going to fold over, and guess what? When your painting dries and you remove that tape, guess what you're going to have? You're going to have a white line going right down the end of your painting right there. So we don't want that. So make sure that you back your tape up enough to where it's right at the edge, but doesn't go over the edge, okay? All right. Then all you do is just cut it off there. Just cut the excess off, just like that. Turn it and go to the other side. Okay, just tape it off, just like that. Cut off the excess. And you do that all the way around. You just keep doing that all the way around. It's real simple on a small one. On a bigger canvas, you'll have to kind of guide your tape down the side. As you're going, you kind of just start at a point and just kind of guide your tape down. Just guide it down the side. It's not quite so simple on a big canvas. Okay. Then you just make sure you trim off all the excess on the ends. Get all that excess off of there. Okay. All right, now as far as getting it tight, I've had people ask me, how do you keep the paint from running up under your tape? Well, get it real tight. Just press it down real tight along that edge. Some people will use popsicle sticks to get the pressure on it. I just use my finger. That's all I use. And I usually don't have any problem. I just use my finger and just go right along that edge just like that, and make sure your corners are real good. And I just go right along the edge just like that. That's all I do. Just go right along that edge. And I'll do it a couple of times, to make sure that it's down there, and make sure the tape is down all over the wood. Just make sure it's on there. It's all you do. All you do on that. Okay, then I'll take, on a canvas this small, I use the small push pins. And there's a corner where the wood and the canvas meet, well, I'll go right above that little corner into the canvas. If you stick the pen down into that little crevice there, they usually won't stay in there, they'll fall out. So I'll go right above that and just push my push pin right in there, just like that. You know, you can use little risers. But I've always liked the push pins the best because I have to move my painting. Once my painting dries enough for me to move it, I have to move it to another space so I can continue with another canvas on my table. So it's just a lot easier. Ooh, that one's being contrary. It's just a lot easier whenever you can just pick the painting up, and whenever you can just pick it up and go. And you don't have to worry about getting more push pins, going back and getting your risers. It's just easier to pick it up and go. You know, that's how I like it. But that's all you do. And the bigger canvas, I have bigger push pins. The bigger canvas I use the bigger push pin. But other than that, that's pretty simple. Okay, then when it's time to remove the tape, after your painting has completely dry, and it's time to remove the tape, just find your corner, get it started. Now this is what I do, and it always works for me, but I'm not saying this is the right way to do it. This is just what works for me. I will take the tape, and I will get it started further on the inside. And I will pull down from that inside first, and then let the outside follow along. See how it's at an angle? And let that outside follow along, just like that. And that always works best for me. Just like, let's do another side. Just like this, you take it, get your tape started. Get it started just like this. Okay, and see how you see how it's further along on the inside on the wood? Okay, you just keep pulling it right along just like that. There we go, just like that. And it usually comes right off. Now sometimes whenever you're pulling your tape off, of course, you have some paint on here, and sometimes the tape will get stuck up under that paint. Well, that's why I don't have a thumbnail on that thumb. That's where I pick it off. You usually just pick it off and it'll just pull right off. So, it's easy, it's simple. If I can do it, believe me, you can do it. I'm trying to think if there's anything. Oh, as far as covering the back, once it's been painted, some people prefer to put paper on the back. I don't. Now, if that's what you had rather do, that's you. That you do what you want to do. But I always have a very clean back, and I have a stamp that I'll stamp the back of the canvas inside. So I just prefer not to paper the back. I do supply a little pack of little hanging nails with a bracket that I'll attach to the back of my canvas. I do supply that to any of my customers, but unless they especially request that I put paper on the back, the brown paper on the back, I will not. Now that being said, when you do have these little boo-boos right here, and I discussed about how I don't really put the paper on the back. That being said, if you do have to paint this back white part because of some boo-boos, it is best that you do cover the back with the paper. Not because it looks bad, but because the paint does have a tendency to rub off on a wall. So, you know how when you hang a picture, you kind of scoot it on the wall to find that hook or however you're hanging it. The paint will have a tendency to rub off on the wall. So it would be best if you do have to paint this outer white part here, that you do cover it with paper. Okay, I think that's it. Okay, I think I babbled on enough. All right. If you have any other questions or any other tutorial that you would like for me to do, just message me below. Just let me know. I'd love to. Just let me know. And until next time, be safe, be kind. Bye-bye.